Lucky American coins. The 2011 D Lincoln cent is a modern United States 1-cent coin struck at the Denver Mint and featuring the Lincoln Shield reverse design that was introduced in 2010. At first glance, a 2011 D penny may look like an ordinary coin worth only 1 cent, and in most circulated examples that is exactly the case. However, coins from the same production year can become considerably more interesting when they contain a genuine minting error, an unusual die variety, an exceptionally high grade, or another characteristic that separates them from the enormous number of normal 2011 D cents produced. The important thing for collectors is to distinguish a genuinely rare mint error from ordinary damage, machine doubling, discoloration, scratches, plating problems, or exaggerated claims about value. The 2011 D Lincoln Shield cent has a denomination of 1 cent and carries the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. The reverse features the Union Shield design, which became the regular Lincoln cent reverse beginning in 2010. The coin was produced at the Denver Mint, identified by the small D mint mark below the date on the obverse. PCGS lists the 2011 D Lincoln cent as a copper-plated zinc coin measuring approximately 19 millimeters in diameter and weighing 2.50 grams. The reported Denver mintage is approximately 2,536,140,000 pieces, meaning that this is not a scarce date in ordinary condition. The enormous mintage is one of the most important facts to understand before discussing the value of a 2011 D penny. More than 2.5 billion examples were produced at Denver, so a normal circulated specimen is not inherently rare. A collector should therefore be suspicious of claims that every 2011 D penny is automatically worth thousands, millions, or hundreds of millions of dollars. The value of a particular coin depends heavily on condition, certification, variety, error type, visual strength, preservation, provenance, and actual market demand. The claim that a normal 2011 D Lincoln cent has a current market value of $285 million is not supported by reliable numismatic market evidence. A $285 million valuation would be extraordinarily outside the established market. For a modern 2011 D cent, current price information shows ordinary 2011 D examples and high-grade examples at dramatically lower levels. For example, price charting currently lists approximate values ranging from around $1.65 for an ungraded example to hundreds of dollars for extremely high grades, while PCGS records an auction result of $667 for a 2011 D cent graded MS-68. That distinction is extremely important for anyone making a video about this coin. A headline such as 2011 D penny worth $285 million can be used as entertainment or a speculative title, but it should not be presented as an established confirmed market price unless there is an authenticated sale demonstrating that amount. There is no reliable evidence in the sources reviewed here establishing a $285 million sale for a 2011 D Lincoln cent. In fact, documented examples are many orders of magnitude below that figure. A responsible collector should always separate a hypothetical valuation from a documented auction record. The standard 2011 D Lincoln cent weighs 2.50 grams. Its diameter is approximately 19 millimeters, and its edge is plain rather than reeded. The coin is made of copper-plated zinc rather than solid copper. PCGS identifies the composition as copper-plated zinc, while other numismatic references describe the underlying composition as approximately 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper. The weight is particularly useful when examining a suspected error. If someone believes that a 2011 D penny is an unusual wrong planchet error, a major composition error, or another striking anomaly, weighing the coin can provide useful preliminary evidence. However, weight alone cannot authenticate an error. Digital scales can have inaccuracies, dirt or residue can affect readings, and normal manufacturing tolerances can produce small differences. A serious collector should combine weight with diameter, thickness, visual examination, and professional authentication when the potential value is significant. The obverse continues the historic Lincoln portrait introduced in 1909. Victor David Brenner designed the Lincoln portrait, which has remained one of the most recognizable images on United States coinage. The obverse carries the words "In God We Trust" above Lincoln, Liberty to the left, and the date 2011 to the right. The Denver mint mark D appears beneath the date area. The reverse is the Union Shield design created by Lyndall Bass, with the shield representing the preservation of the United States as one country. The reverse includes E pluribus unum, United States of America, and 1 cent. The Union Shield reverse was introduced as part of the major redesign of the Lincoln cent reverse in 2009 to 2010. The 2009 Lincoln cents commemorated the bicentennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth with 4 different reverse designs, while the permanent Union Shield reverse began in 2010. Consequently, a 2011 D cent belongs to the early period of the Shield reverse series and can be interesting to collectors who specialize in modern Lincoln cents. Although billions were struck, condition can make a dramatic difference. Modern zinc Lincoln cents are frequently exposed to circulation, moisture, abrasion, fingerprints, chemical reactions, and environmental damage. Coins that remain bright red, sharply struck, and essentially free of marks can command premiums over ordinary circulated pieces. The red designation, commonly shown as Rhode, is especially important for modern Lincoln cents. A coin that has retained its original bright copper color can be more desirable than a brown or heavily discolored specimen of the same grade. The grading scale is another critical part of determining value. A circulated coin might receive a grade such as good, very fine, extremely fine, or about uncirculated depending on its wear. An uncirculated coin is generally designated with an MS grade, meaning mint state. Higher numbers indicate progressively better preservation and quality. Modern Lincoln cents can sometimes survive in very high grades because large quantities were saved immediately after release, but extremely high grades can still be difficult to achieve because even small marks, spots, carbon flecks, weak strikes, or handling damage can prevent a coin from reaching the top levels. PCGS records the 2011 D Lincoln cent under its modern Shield cent classification and reports a very high condition population in certified grades. That reinforces the fact that ordinary high-grade 2011 D cents exist in meaningful numbers, although the very finest examples can still be collectible. One of the most exciting possibilities for a 2011 D cent is a genuine mint error. A mint error occurs when something goes wrong during the manufacturing process, and the resulting coin differs from the intended product. Errors can occur during planchette preparation, striking, die production, feeding, collar operation, or other stages of minting. The term error should not be applied to every unusual-looking coin. Collectors distinguish true mint errors from post-mint damage and from die varieties. One important category is the double die. A genuine double die is created during the preparation of the die itself, meaning the die contains a duplicated design impression. Coins struck from that die can show repeated portions of letters, numbers, or design elements. This is fundamentally different from mechanical or machine doubling, which can produce a flat, shelf-like secondary impression during the striking process, but generally does not carry the same collector premium as a recognized double die variety. If you are examining a 2011 D penny for possible doubling, the date, Liberty, In God We Trust, Lincoln's portrait details, and reverse lettering should be examined closely under magnification. Strong, consistent doubling with rounded secondary design elements can be more interesting than a flat, shelf-like distortion. However, a photograph or simple visual inspection is often insufficient for authentication. A recognized variety should ideally be compared with known examples or examined by a specialist. There are online claims about valuable 2011 D double die cents, including reports of a 2011 D Lincoln cent graded MS-64 with a double die obverse selling for approximately $720. Such reported examples demonstrate that genuine varieties can be worth considerably more than face value, but they should not be confused with the value of every 2011 D penny. The error or variety must actually be present, identifiable, and authentic. Another type of error that collectors may encounter is an off-center strike. This happens when the planchette is not positioned correctly during striking. Instead of the design being centered on the blank, part of the design can be shifted toward the edge, leaving a portion of the blank unstruck. Dramatic off-center errors can be highly collectible, especially when the date and mint mark remain visible. The percentage of off-center striking, the visibility of important identifying information, the overall appearance, and the size of the error all affect value. A minor 2% or 3% shift may not create a spectacular collectible, while a major off-center strike can be much more desirable. A coin that is dramatically off-center, while still showing the complete date and mint mark, is often particularly attractive because collectors can immediately identify what it is. An off-center 2011 D cent should therefore be examined carefully before being spent or sold as an ordinary penny. Another possible error is a clipped planchette. A clipped planchette occurs before the coin is struck when the metal strip is improperly punched and part of the blank is missing. The resulting coin may have a curved clip, straight clip, or another distinctive missing portion. A genuine clipped planchette error usually has characteristics consistent with the manufacturing process. Randomly broken or damaged edges created after the coin left the mint are not the same thing. A coin with a large, authentic clip can be much more valuable than an ordinary 2011 D cent. The exact value depends on the size and shape of the clip, the location of the clip relative to the design, the coin's grade, and collector demand. One published source reports a 2011 D cent associated with an error sale reaching around $1,030, but individual auction results should always be checked against the exact coin and error type rather than generalized to all 2011 D cents. A die cap is another dramatic mint error. A die cap can occur when a struck coin sticks to one of the dies and receives additional strikes. Over time, the trapped coin can deform into a cap-like shape. Coins involved in such errors can have distorted designs and unusual shapes. Because they are visually dramatic, authentic die caps can attract collectors and sometimes command substantial premiums. A die clash is another error collectors should understand. A clash can happen when the obverse and reverse dies come together without a planchette between them. Portions of one die can leave an unintended impression on the opposing die. Later coins struck by the damaged dies may display ghost-like traces of the opposite design. Genuine die clashes can be fascinating because they provide physical evidence of an unusual event during production. Strike-through errors are also possible. A foreign material or debris can become trapped between the die and planchette during striking, leaving an unusual depression or impression on the coin. The appearance can vary greatly depending on the material involved. Some strike-throughs are subtle, while others are obvious and dramatic. A retained cud can occur when part of a die breaks away but remains attached. The resulting coins can show a large raised area or irregular design distortion near the edge. A major retained cud on a modern cent can attract collectors because it documents progressive die failure. Grease-filled dies can also create unusual-looking coins. When grease or debris fills recessed portions of a die, certain letters or design elements may strike weakly or disappear. These pieces are sometimes called grease-filled die errors. However, not every weak letter is valuable. Weak strikes can result from ordinary striking conditions, worn dies, die polishing, or other causes. Collectors generally pay the strongest premiums for dramatic and clearly identifiable examples. The mint mark D is particularly important when identifying the coin. On a 2011 D cent, the D indicates production at the Denver Mint. It should not be confused with damage that merely resembles a letter. Because mint marks can be altered, scratched, or manipulated after leaving the mint, collectors should inspect suspicious mint mark characteristics carefully. Modern Lincoln cents also present a challenge because zinc cores can develop problems when the copper plating is damaged. Environmental exposure can cause discoloration, corrosion, bubbling, or spotting. A coin with an unusual color is not automatically a rare mint error. For example, a penny that appears silver, black, purple, orange, or yellow may have been chemically altered, exposed to heat, environmentally damaged, or otherwise changed after leaving the mint. Genuine planchette or annealing errors require careful examination. The difference between an error and damage is one of the most important lessons for anyone searching pocket change. A coin that has been scratched, drilled, squeezed, heated, painted, plated, chemically treated, or otherwise modified after leaving the mint is generally considered damaged rather than a valuable mint error. The fact that a damaged coin looks unusual does not make it rare. Collectors should also be cautious about machine doubling. Machine doubling can look like doubled lettering at first glance, especially under poor lighting. But genuine doubled dies have different characteristics. Machine doubling often creates a flattened, shelf-like secondary edge, whereas genuine hub doubling typically produces more rounded and integrated design separation. Determining the distinction can require experience and comparison with known varieties. The 2011 D cent is part of a much larger history of Lincoln cents. The Lincoln cent was introduced in 1909 to commemorate the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the first regular United States circulating coin to feature a real historical person. Victor David Brenner's portrait of Lincoln became one of the most recognizable images in American numismatics. For decades, the Lincoln cent used wheat ears on its reverse. In 1959, the reverse changed to the Lincoln Memorial design to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. That reverse remained in use until the bicentennial redesigns of 2009. After the 2009 commemorative reverses, the Union Shield reverse became the standard design in 2010 and continued on the 2011 issue. The 2011 D cent therefore represents a relatively early example of the shield reverse. Although it is not an old coin in the traditional sense, its design belongs to an important period in the continuing history of American coinage. The word liberty on the obverse represents one of the fundamental ideals associated with the United States. In God We Trust appears above Lincoln's portrait, while the date identifies the year of production. The reverse shield represents national unity and preservation. The phrase e pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one, reinforces that theme. The 2011 D cents copper-plated zinc composition is another important part of its history. The United States moved away from the traditional bronze composition for circulating Lincoln cents in 1982 because of changing metal costs. Since then, regular circulation cents have generally used a zinc core with a thin copper coating. This makes the coin substantially different from earlier copper Lincoln cents. Because of this construction, damage to the copper plating can expose the zinc underneath. This can produce a gray or silvery appearance that inexperienced collectors sometimes mistake for a rare silver penny. A 2011 D cent that simply lost its copper plating through damage should not automatically be described as a rare silver error. The standard diameter is approximately 19 mm, and the weight is approximately 2.50 grams. The plain edge distinguishes it from many other U.S. denominations that have reeded or lettered edges. The coin is round and has the standard 1 cent denomination. When evaluating a possible 2011 D error, the first step should be to inspect both sides under good lighting. Do not rely solely on a phone camera. A basic magnifying glass or jeweller's loupe can reveal details that are difficult to see with the naked eye. Examine the date, mint mark, lettering, portrait, shield, rim, and edge. Next, weigh the coin using a reasonably accurate digital scale. The expected standard weight is 2.50 grams. If the result is substantially different, investigate why. Do not immediately assume that the difference proves an error. Dirt, corrosion, plating loss, damage, scale accuracy, and other factors can influence the reading. Measure the diameter if possible. A genuine wrong planchette or unusual planchette error may produce dimensions that differ from the standard specification. Again, however, measurements should be evaluated as a group rather than independently. The edge should also be inspected. A normal 2011 D Lincoln cent has a plain edge. An unusual edge can be interesting, but edge damage can also occur through squeezing, cutting, grinding, or other post-mint activities. The physical evidence should indicate whether the condition was created during manufacturing. One of the biggest mistakes made by new coin collectors is assuming that rarity and value are the same thing. A coin can be rare, but have little demand, while another coin can be relatively common, but highly desirable because of a famous variety or excellent condition. Value is created by a combination of scarcity, demand, condition, authenticity, eye appeal, and market history. A normal circulated 2011 D cent has very little numismatic value beyond its face value. A lightly circulated example generally will not make someone wealthy. Even many uncirculated examples remain affordable because so many were produced. Current price references show that ordinary examples are inexpensive compared with genuinely rare American coins. The highest grade normal examples can be more interesting. Price Charting's current figures list approximately $219.95 for MS-68, around $264 for MS-69, and approximately $330 for MS-70, although market values can change and actual sale prices vary. These figures are nowhere near $285 million. PCGS reports an auction record of $667 for a 2011 D Shield cent graded MS-68 in the source consulted. This illustrates an important point. A modern penny can sell for hundreds of dollars when it is exceptionally preserved and certified, even though billions of normal examples were made. The existence of high-value error coins is what makes searching 2011 D cents interesting. A collector could theoretically find a dramatic error that is worth far more than face value. But the error must be real. The strongest premiums generally go to dramatic, clearly visible, authenticated mint errors. If a collector discovers a suspected major error, the best approach is not to clean the coin. Cleaning can permanently reduce collector value and can remove evidence needed for authentication. Do not polish the surface, scrub it with chemicals, scrape the rim, or attempt to improve its appearance. The coin should be handled by the edges whenever possible. Finger oils can affect surfaces, especially when a coin is being considered for professional grading. Place the coin in a suitable protective holder and document its condition with clear photographs. Professional authentication can become important when the potential value is significant. Companies such as PCGS and NGC provide professional grading and authentication services. Certification does not automatically make a coin valuable, but it can provide confidence about authenticity and condition. The 2011 D penny is also an excellent example of why coin collecting requires patience. Searching through large quantities of modern coins can produce many false alarms. A strange-looking penny is not necessarily a rare error. The collector needs to understand how coins are manufactured and how different errors are created. The phrase "worth big money" should therefore be interpreted carefully. A genuine 2011 D error can be worth substantially more than 1 cent, but the amount depends entirely on the specific error. A minor die chip may bring a modest premium. A dramatic off-center strike could bring considerably more. A major wrong planchette error, spectacular die cap, dramatic double die, or another certified rarity could command a much stronger price. There is also an important difference between asking price and selling price. A seller may list a 2011 D penny online for $285 million, $10 million, $1 million, or any other number. That listing does not prove the coin is worth that amount. A true market value is better demonstrated by completed transactions, where a buyer actually paid the stated amount. Auction records and verified sales are therefore much more meaningful than unsold online listings. For this reason, the $285 million figure should not be presented as the established current market price of the 2011 DD penny. Based on the available numismatic information, that figure is not supported. The documented market for ordinary high-grade 2011 D cents is measured in dollars, and, for exceptional examples, or certain errors, potentially hundreds, or around $1,000 or more, not hundreds of millions. That does not make the coin uninteresting. In fact, the 2011 D cent can be an excellent coin to search because modern mint errors can be visually dramatic, and because the coin is common enough that collectors may encounter examples in circulation, rolls, jars, bags, or old collections. A collector looking specifically for errors should pay attention to double design elements, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, broad strikes, die caps, die clashes, cuds, strike-throughs, missing design elements, unusual planchette characteristics, and other unmistakable manufacturing abnormalities. The strongest candidate is generally one where the unusual feature can be explained by a known minting process. For example, an off-center coin shows evidence that the blank was incorrectly positioned during striking. A clipped planchette shows evidence of a problem during blank preparation. A die clash displays unintended elements transferred between dies. A double die shows systematic doubling associated with the die itself. By contrast, a scratch running through Lincoln's portrait has no obvious mint production explanation and is probably damage. A dented rim caused by dropping the coin is not a mint error. A coin that has been flattened by machinery is not automatically valuable. A color change caused by chemicals is not automatically a rare planchette error. The minting process itself helps explain why errors happen. Coins begin with metal strip that is processed to the appropriate thickness. Blanks are punched from the strip. The blanks are processed and prepared before being fed into coin presses. Dies contain the designs for the obverse and reverse. The planchette is positioned between the dies and struck under tremendous pressure. A collar controls the shape and diameter of the coin. Problems can occur at almost every stage. A die problem can affect many coins because the same die may strike thousands or millions of pieces. A one-time feeding problem may create a single unusual coin or a small group. A planchette production problem can create an entire group of unusual blanks. Understanding this helps collectors determine whether a particular feature is likely to be a genuine error. The Denver Mint's D mint mark gives the 2011 D cent its specific identity. Without the D, the coin would belong to another production facility or category. Philadelphia produced 2011 Lincoln cents without a mint mark, while Denver produced the D mint-marked issue. PCGS lists the Philadelphia mintage at $2,402,400,000 and the Denver mintage at $2,536,140,000. The Denver issue therefore had a slightly larger reported mintage than the Philadelphia issue. This reinforces why the 2011 D is not a scarce regular date coin. Its collectible potential comes more from condition and errors than from basic date rarity. A collector who finds a 2011 D penny with an unusual appearance should compare it against photographs of confirmed examples rather than relying on viral social media posts. Internet videos often use extremely high dollar figures because they attract attention. Unfortunately, these figures can be repeated from one website to another without evidence of a corresponding sale. The same principle applies to claims that a coin is worth $285 million right now. The correct question is not whether someone wrote that number online. The correct question is whether a reputable auction house, grading service, dealer, or documented marketplace has established that price through an actual transaction. Without that evidence, the number should be treated as an unverified claim. For a video script or educational article, it is much more accurate to say that a 2011 D penny can be worth far more than 1 cent if it contains a genuine, desirable mint error, while ordinary examples remain inexpensive. This approach keeps the excitement of treasure hunting without misleading viewers about the established market. The coin's history is also worth emphasizing. Lincoln has appeared on the cent since 1909, making the Lincoln cent one of the longest-running designs in U.S. coinage. The shield reverse used on the 2011 D continues that tradition while representing national unity. The coin therefore combines more than a century of Lincoln cent history with a modern composition and modern manufacturing process. For collectors, the date 2011 may not initially seem historic because it is relatively recent. But coin collecting does not require a coin to be centuries old. Modern mint errors can become important immediately if they are sufficiently rare and desirable. Some modern errors have already become recognized collectibles because the mint's production mistakes created distinctive pieces. The most valuable 2011 D cent would therefore not necessarily be the oldest, heaviest, brightest, or strangest-looking example. It would be the example with a combination of genuine rarity, major minting error, strong condition, clear attribution, excellent eye appeal, and verified collector demand. If you have a 2011 D penny, look first at the date and mint mark. Then inspect Lincoln's portrait and the lettering. Turn the coin over and inspect the shield, 1 cent, e pluribus unum, and the surrounding fields. Examine the rim and edge. Weigh it. Compare it to a normal 2011 D cent photograph it under good lighting. If the anomaly remains convincing, seek professional opinions. The market can change over time. Modern coin values are influenced by population reports, new discoveries, auction results, collector interest, and the number of comparable examples available. A coin worth $50 today could become more or less desirable in the future. Conversely, a coin advertised at $50,000 might never sell for anything close to that price. This is why collectors should use completed sales rather than asking prices whenever possible. A completed sale tells you what a buyer actually paid. An unsold listing tells you only what the seller hoped to receive. The 2011 D Lincoln Shield cent also demonstrates why certification can matter for exceptional coins. A raw coin may be difficult for a buyer to evaluate because the buyer cannot be certain about grade or authenticity. A reputable third-party grading service can authenticate and encapsulate the coin, providing a standardized grade and identification. However, grading fees should be considered. It does not always make financial sense to submit a normal 2011 D penny for grading. If the coin is ordinary and circulated, the grading fee could exceed its market value. Certification becomes more sensible when the coin appears to be an exceptionally high-grade specimen or has a significant, potentially valuable error. The reported PCGS auction history illustrates this point. A certified MS-68 example reached $667 in the cited record. That is a substantial price for a 1-cent coin, but it is still vastly different from a $285 million valuation. A genuine error can change the situation dramatically. A documented 2011 D error example reported by online numismatic sources reached approximately $1,030, while another reported double die example reached approximately $720. These figures show that unusual 2011 D cents can have real premiums, but they also demonstrate why the exact error matters. Collectors should also understand that individual auction records are not guaranteed prices. If one coin sells for $1,030, another apparently similar coin may sell for less. Differences in grade, certification, error severity, eye appeal, timing, auction audience, photographs, and provenance can all influence the final result. The term rare should also be used carefully. A coin can be uncommon without being extremely rare. A particular die variety may be less common than the normal issue, but if hundreds or thousands exist, it may not command an enormous price. A truly rare error may exist in only a few known examples. The most interesting 2011 D cents are those that provide strong evidence of a minting mistake. For example, a dramatic off-center strike that clearly preserves the date and D mint mark can be instantly recognizable. A large clipped planchette can also be obvious. A major die cap can have a distinctive three-dimensional shape. A strong double die can show clear separation in multiple design elements. A weak or ambiguous anomaly is less likely to produce a major premium. This is why collectors should avoid making a valuation solely from a photograph without examining the coin carefully. The 2011 D penny is also a good example of the difference between face value and collector value. Its legal denomination is 1 cent. That does not mean every example must sell for 1 cent. Coins can trade for premiums because collectors value rarity, condition, errors, history, or design. At the same time, the denomination does not guarantee a large premium. A coin remains common unless something specific makes it collectible. The standard 2011 D Lincoln cent has a plain edge, copper-colored appearance when the plating is intact, a weight around 2.50 grams, and a diameter around 19 millimeters. These specifications provide a baseline against which unusual examples can be compared. The reverse shield is especially useful when looking for errors because it contains multiple lines, inscriptions, and geometric elements. A doubled or distorted portion of the shield may become visible under magnification. However, normal strike characteristics can sometimes create apparent variations. Therefore, comparison with verified examples is essential. The obverse is equally important. The date 2011 and D mint mark provide the coin's basic identification. Liberty and In God We Trust can be inspected for doubling or strike abnormalities. Lincoln's portrait can also reveal die chips, die cracks, clashes, or other abnormalities. Die cracks can appear as raised lines on the coin because the die itself has cracked. If a crack becomes larger, it can create a cud or retained cud. Small die cracks may bring little or no premium, while dramatic die breaks can be more desirable. Die chips can produce small raised blobs of metal where part of the die surface has broken or deteriorated. These can be collectible if they are distinctive or recognized as a particular variety, but not every tiny raised bump is rare. Another important issue is zinc rot or environmental corrosion. Because the 2011 D cent contains a zinc core, moisture can create damage if the copper coating is compromised. Bubbles, pits, and dark spots can appear. Such damage can sometimes make a coin look unusual, but it does not automatically create collector value. The term error penny is therefore broader than valuable penny. Some errors are worth only modest premiums. Others are worth hundreds or thousands. A few extraordinary U.S. coin errors across different dates and denominations have reached much higher prices, but those exceptional results should not be projected onto every modern cent. The 2011 D cent has a massive production population, so collectors should focus on what makes a particular piece different. The question is not, is 2011 D rare? The answer for the normal issue is no. The better question is, does this particular 2011 D have an authenticated error, variety, or exceptional grade? If the answer is yes, the value calculation changes. A circulated 2011 D penny, without a significant error, is generally worth little above face value. An uncirculated example may bring a small premium. A high-grade certified example can bring tens or hundreds of dollars depending on grade and market conditions. An exceptional error can bring substantially more. A major documented rarity could potentially reach 4 figures or beyond, but claims of 9-figure values require extraordinary evidence. The $285 million number is therefore best treated as an attention-grabbing hypothetical rather than a verified market price. There is no reliable evidence in the sources reviewed showing that a 2011 Lincoln cent sold for $285 million. The available market references instead show values ranging from ordinary low dollar prices to hundreds of dollars for exceptional normal condition examples, and reported higher amounts for certain errors. This distinction is especially important because viewers may search their own coins after watching a video. If they are told that every 2011 penny is worth $285 million, they could misunderstand the coin market. A better message is that the coin is common in normal condition, but can become valuable if it contains a genuine and significant mint error. That message is both more accurate and more useful to collectors. The history of the Lincoln cent also makes the coin interesting beyond its price. Abraham Lincoln remains one of the most recognizable figures in American history, and his image has appeared on the cent for more than a century. The design has evolved while maintaining the basic Lincoln portrait. The 2011 issue belongs to the modern shield era and reflects the continuing evolution of the denomination. The Union shield reverse is particularly symbolic. The shield visually represents the preservation of the United States as a unified nation. The ribbon containing 1 cent identifies the denomination, while e pluribus unum expresses the idea of unity from many parts. The coin is therefore not simply a piece of zinc and copper. It is part of a long-running American design tradition. That historical context can make even a common modern cent interesting to collectors. The best way to preserve a potentially valuable 2011 penny is to avoid unnecessary handling and cleaning. Store it in a suitable coin holder away from moisture and harsh chemicals. If you believe it is a major error, do not attempt to repair or alter it. Keep photographs and, if possible, notes about where and when it was found. Provenance can sometimes help establish the history of an unusual piece. A collector should also beware of counterfeit or altered coins. Modern cents can be manipulated because the metal is inexpensive, and the potential value of an alleged rare error can attract attention. A suspicious mint mark, added doubling, artificial discoloration, or altered edge can make an ordinary penny appear rare. Professional authentication is the safest route when the claimed value is substantial. Ultimately, the 2011 Lincoln cent is a fascinating example of modern American coinage. Its standard specifications include a 1 cent denomination, approximately 2.50 grams of weight, approximately 19 millimeters of diameter, copper-plated zinc composition, plain edge, the Lincoln portrait on the obverse, and the Union shield on the reverse. The Denver mint mark identifies its place of manufacture. PCGS reports a Denver mintage of 2,536,140,000 pieces. A normal 2011 cent is not a $285 million coin. Current documented market information does not support such a valuation. High-grade normal examples can bring hundreds of dollars in exceptional cases, and authentic errors can bring additional premiums. Some reported error sales have reached around $720 or $1,030, demonstrating that unusual modern pennies can indeed become valuable. The real excitement comes from finding something that is genuinely different. A dramatic double die, major off-center strike, clipped planchette, die cap, retained cud, clash, strike through, or another authenticated mint error can transform an ordinary-looking penny into a collectible. But the specific error must be identified and authenticated before assigning a major valuation. For anyone searching through old coin jars, bank rolls, collections, or loose change, the 2011 Lincoln cent is worth examining carefully. Most examples will remain ordinary coins, but the possibility of a genuine mint error makes close inspection worthwhile. A small 1 cent piece can become a fascinating piece of numismatic history when it records an unusual event that happened during production at the United States Mint. The most responsible current value statement is therefore this: An ordinary 2011 D Lincoln Shield cent is generally worth around face value in circulated condition, with uncirculated examples potentially bringing modest premiums and exceptionally high-grade certified examples reaching substantially higher amounts. Certain genuine errors can be worth hundreds or potentially more depending on rarity and severity. A documented PCGS auction record of $667 exists for an MS-68 example, while published reports describe certain 2011 D-era examples selling for several $100s to around $1,000. A claimed $285 million value should not be represented as a verified current market price. If a particular 2011 D penny really possessed an extraordinary error that someone believed could command an enormous amount, the coin would need to be examined by recognized experts, authenticated, graded, documented, and offered in a credible marketplace. Only an actual completed transaction could establish such a record. That is what makes coin collecting so interesting. The value is not simply printed on the coin. It comes from the combination of history, condition, rarity, manufacturing characteristics, collector demand, and verified market activity. A 2011 D Lincoln cent may be worth 1 cent, a few dollars, hundreds of dollars, or substantially more if it is a genuinely exceptional error. The key is discovering exactly what makes the individual coin different. For collectors examining a 2011 D cent today, the most important checklist is simple: confirm the 2011 date, confirm the D mint mark, inspect both sides for genuine doubling and other mint errors, inspect the edge, check the weight against approximately 2.50 grams, compare the diameter against approximately 19 millimeters, evaluate the color and condition, avoid cleaning, photograph the coin clearly, compare the suspected feature with authenticated examples, and seek professional authentication. If the evidence indicates a major error, the coin's commonness should not discourage collectors. Modern coins are sometimes dismissed because millions or billions were made, but errors happen precisely because enormous production systems are capable of producing occasional mistakes. The challenge is identifying which unusual-looking pieces are genuine mint products, and which are simply damaged coins. A collector who learns that distinction becomes much better at finding valuable coins. Instead of believing every viral claim, the collector begins asking better questions. Was the feature created at the mint? Is it consistent with a known error mechanism? Does it appear raised or incuse in a way that makes sense? Is the metal missing, displaced, doubled, or distorted in a recognizable way? Does the weight support the theory? Can the coin be compared with known examples? Has an established grading service authenticated similar pieces? Those questions matter much more than a sensational dollar figure. The 2011 D Lincoln Shield cent is therefore best understood as a common modern coin with genuine collectible potential when unusual characteristics are present. Its 2.50-gram copper-plated zinc construction, 19 mm diameter, plain edge, Lincoln obverse, shield reverse, and Denver D mint mark identify the standard issue. Its huge mintage means ordinary examples are readily available, but genuine errors and exceptional grades can create premiums. If your particular 2011 D penny has an error, its value cannot be determined accurately from the date alone. The exact error, grade, size, visibility, authenticity, and recent comparable sales must all be considered. That is the real secret behind valuable modern pennies. So if you have a 2011 D penny sitting in a drawer, coin jar, collection, or pocket change, do not assume it is worth $285 million, but do not automatically throw it away either. Examine it carefully. A normal example is common, but a genuine major mint error can be a completely different story. The difference between an ordinary 1-cent coin and a valuable collectible can sometimes be found in a tiny detail visible only under magnification. The most important conclusion is that the 2011 D Lincoln cent has real numismatic interest, but the extraordinary $285 million figure is not a verified current market value. Reliable market information places ordinary examples far below that amount, while documented exceptional pieces and reported errors can reach hundreds or, in some cases, around $1,000 or more. That makes the 2011 D-cent a worthwhile coin to study, especially for collectors interested in modern eras. Its history, design, Denver mint mark, copper-plated zinc composition, and massive production run provide the foundation, while errors and exceptional preservation provide the possibility of a premium. The real value lies in the specific characteristics of the individual coin, not simply in the year and mint mark. Anyone who believes they have discovered an unusually valuable 2011 D-cent should preserve the coin exactly as found, avoid cleaning or polishing it, document the suspected error with clear photographs, verify its measurements, compare it with established references, and consider professional authentication before assigning a major value. A genuine certified error is far more convincing to the market than an unsupported online claim. In the end, the 2011 D Lincoln cent demonstrates one of the most appealing ideas in numismatics. An ordinary object can sometimes become extraordinary because of a tiny manufacturing mistake. Billions of normal coins can exist, while a much smaller number of unusual pieces attract collectors. Finding that difference is what makes searching modern cents exciting. The coin may have started life as a 1-cent denomination, but if it carries a legitimate and dramatic mint error, its collector value can rise far beyond its face value. The exact amount, however, must come from evidence, authentication, and actual market transactions rather than an unsupported $285 million claim.